Richard here is
Mr. Plug.
finishing up the starboard side. This side over here, you can see there's almost 1,000 plugs from the garboard seam up to here per side. Well, this is the new V-berth area that we've redesigned. This will give you a couple of smallish bunks, but they're nearly 7 feet long.
How many plugs we got?
Almost 2,000.
Just on one side?
No, two sides. There's 890 on this side. About the same on the other. So we got this side plugged up to the shutter plank and almost sanded. I had to change the cord on my sander, it burned out. And Richard here is
Mr. Plug.
finishing up the starboard side. Are you getting enough?
Yeah.
Are you getting your daily supply of tobacco? Hope you guys are getting your doctor's recommended daily dose.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor said it.
Doctor said you gotta have a cheroot once in a while.
When you're making plugs, you see the grain here? You want the grain to be as close to vertical as you can.
Okay.
That way, and this is flat grain, so we don't go this way. We cut them this way. That way, when they shrink and swell, they do the proper thing, and also they break off nice. Instead of, you do flat grain, the plug just, it's a nightmare.
Falls apart, right?
Yeah, and it swells wrong and looks funny. This is how you do it.
That's a lot better when it's fresh.
Yeah, also, it's hard to see, but the plug cutter, if you go all the way down, puts a little tiny chamfer on the plug.
Okay.
And that way it goes into the hole easier.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So it's slightly beveled kind of thing?
Just a tiny bit. All right, so there's about 6 or 8 things to know on plugs, right?
Right?
8 things to know on plugs?
About 8.
Grain's gotta go in the right direction of the grain of the boat
Right.
and the timbers.
The proper grain structure this way. We use this all of our scrap pieces that we had from planking. We saved them for plugs. That's 2 things. You gotta know the right speed on different size plugs and different timbers. This is kind of a medium fast for a 5/8 plug in this Sapele. So, and you have to pop them out correctly. It's all in the wrist. Then a lot of people don't wet out the hole. We'll show you that in a minute. In other words, if you just put a plug in a dry hole, the plank is huge compared to the plug, so it'll suck the epoxy out of that plug and you'll get a dry joint. And the plug later on can work its way out and get loose. So if you wet the holes out first, you take your time, wet them out, and within an hour or so you start gluing the plugs in. So you have to glue them in with microfibers. So you have to get the angle right when you're putting it in the hole, and you want to tap it in just hard enough to bottom it out. You got it? Yeah. So we'll leave the line as usual, right?
Okay.
Can't mark this with a pencil.
No.
No.
Or a white grease pencil?
No.
Nothing sticks?
It doesn't show.
Doesn't show, isn't it crazy?
It's good stuff, but it's a pain to work with. So the saw is going this way, it's still at the right angle. As long as they're the same, you don't care. All right.
What are the holes for?
Bolts that are sticking out.
Oh, I see.
Bolts on the
So it
wall.
goes upside down and cut. And
Yeah, this is the outside face that
Gotcha.
leads against the
yeah,
wall.
yeah.
Yeah, I just want to look at something real quick.
What's the name of this product?
This
You have to
is
speak up a little bit.
This is UHMW, 3/4 inch thick, which stands for ultra high molecular weight plastic. And it's used for all kinds of stuff. Used for undersea oil pipelines and camels, in shipyards or in harbors, and rubber rails, anything that's going to have to stand a lot of abuse and heavy impact. It's kind of funny to work with because some tools just don't work well on it. Others, like this little plane, just work fine on it. But most woodworking tools will do fine. This is for the anchor rod. It's about 4 feet long, and I think it'll be plenty. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Boom. There we go. This side over here, you can see there's almost 1,000 plugs from the garbage seam up to here per side. And there's 2 sizes currently. There's the 1/2 inch for the screws, and there's the 5/8 size for the small carriage bolts. The whole hull will take about 7,000, something like that.
Including the top?
Yeah, not the deck, just the
Not the deck.
just the hull. And this is real close to being close to its final shape. I got maybe another hour on this. We developed this shape initially by using a hollow plane by hand, and now we're basically just smoothing it out, getting rid of all the nicks and so forth that the plane left. And you can see the shape is developed nicely down there.
Have we heard from the shipyard about coming over and working on anything? No.
Oh, last week they're going to be here in an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, last week. Well, this is the new V-berth area that we've redesigned. This will give you a couple of smallish bunks, but they're nearly 7 feet long, and there'll be storage underneath.
And direct access now into the V berth.
Yep.
Closet is gone.
Closet's
Something
gone.
I was always looking forward to.
And these shelves are removable. Not a whole lot of room underneath them, but it's good for storage of things like oil filters and stuff you don't use very often. And because it's not good storage below that shelf for clothing, it's kind of a damp environment. And we ventilated them. There'll be more lower, so that this area gets well ventilated. You can see how the bulkhead is shy of the hull. You get plenty of air through there because this is our new
Anchor chain storage.
yes, and it's going to have a bottom end, of course, with be somewhat of a ramp. We're using 3/4 inch UHMW because of its strength, and it's very slippery. So the chain and all that will slide on it real nicely. We made it as steep as we could, just for that reason. So it'll hold a lot of chain and line. And of course there'll be a couple of big drain holes in the bottom of it. This little cabin sole used to be very steep, so we were able to drop the forward end quite a ways down, so that it's almost level. It'll still be a slight incline, but it'll be a lot more level. We had to repair this bulkhead. It was delaminating, so we glued it all back together and put a 1/2 inch.
Right, it had a lot of holes. We can see them under here.
Yep.
Nasty under there.
And then the stateroom here. We're getting close to wrapping this up. We've already made the lids for this.
Right, those are already made. And this gets painted, right?
Yeah, and we just need to make the shelf. We were able to salvage the aluminum rings and the mahogany molding that went up here.
Okay.
So we were able to salvage that. And that's pretty much it for the stateroom. We're going to put a small door here with a louver in it.
Okay.
Again,
and varnish.
Yeah, it's not the best storage, but it's better than nothing.
Into the galley.
In the galley. So the biggest problem in the galley was the fridge and the stove were kind of obsolete, but also a lot of these bulkheads and whatnot weren't sealed very well, and they were delaminating.
Yes, and we have some photographs of that.
Yeah. So we were able to peel these laminates back, get epoxy behind them, and reclamp them so that we restored this bulkhead, the laminations. And we got the Formica, should be here, from here down. We got a pretty close match on the Formica. Apparently this is from many years ago. So, and we'll remake the upper cabinet, and we'll have ceiling planks just like in the other two compartments, and we'll do the same back here.
Do you have to make those little frame pieces here?
Yeah, same thing, little standoffs.
Little standoffs, yeah.
So that you get good ventilation. It's really important in the galley because you have heat and moisture in this area, and the fridge running and all that.
Hey, maybe we'll put some prisms in the deck here, so
that would be a good idea.
Just so we can get a little natural light in here.
Yeah, because you know when it's planked, this is pretty dark, isn't it?
Yeah. Old stove. Say goodbye. How many meals did we cook here?
How old is that thing? 70s, 80s?
Probably 80s. Okay, so the fridge should be here. The toilet is here.
Toilet's here. That's an easy one.
Toilet's an easy. Well, even though we need a holding tank.
Right. And that can go below here. Not a real big one, maybe 5 gallons, 6 gallons.
5 gallon, hold it.
It's not very big.
No.
There's not much room. Now, if we can move it somewhere else, we can get a bigger tank. And we may end up doing that.
Yeah.
But you're
fitting something down in here, possibly. Some custom-made little tank.
Yeah, you could, but it'd be pretty small. Just the way this was done, it was weakened. So what we're going to do is.
This is this joist here, this frame.
Yeah, we're just going to.
This is basically just to hold the floor up, right?
Yeah, and the people walking on it.
Yeah.
So we're going to put a post here that's slightly notched over the frame and over this. Boom, boom. And this is so funky, we'll just make a new one of these.
We're back to plugging.
Okay, the next phase, once you popped them out of the plank, is you mix up straight epoxy. Want to use a new plug it, or let's just use a new one. Let those cure a little bit. And
we've seen the mixing epoxy.
You've seen that already?
We all dug. I mean, Clint did a little mixing epoxy on an earlier episode, but we could see some again.
Okay.
So how do you do it? You just have to
1 and 1.
1 and 1.
And that's it. Stir it up. This is just straight epoxy. Mix it up good.
So what do you think about this project, Richard?
What a boat. Nice boat. Gonna be a real nice boat.
Think we have a shot ever of launching this thing again, or is this? Are we here in the land of lost boats?
I hope not. I hope you get this thing in the water pretty quick.
All right. Well, we need your help.
Yeah, we'll get it. I plugged the heck out of that son of a gun.
Right. So if we don't plug, you know, we're gonna go launch it. We're gonna christen it. The thing's gonna.
All the plugs pop.
All the plugs pop.
Now you gotta take your little brush and we're gonna wet the holes.
Okay. So pre-wetting the holes helps it to swell a little bit, accept a little bit of moisture before.
No.
What is it? Not that.
Next to the plank portion, saturated with epoxy, so that when you actually glue the plug in, you don't get a dry joint. Around wet all the edges real good, and then
You wet it with the epoxy.
Right. Straight epoxy.
Straight epoxy.
Okay, as opposed to?
Well, when you glue the plugs in, the plugs go in a mixture of kind of a like cream of wheat epoxy with microfibers.
Okay.
That helps thicken up.
So okay, so is one epoxy for wetting the hole, straight epoxy.
Yep.
And then the other is what?
Well, it's a mixture. It's epoxy and microfibers, which are basically pulverized cotton fibers. And what they do is they help fill in the voids, and they keep the epoxy from being so thin, so it doesn't just run out of the hole.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how long until this epoxy starts setting up?
Oh, you got a few hours. See,
Oh.
once it's out of the bucket, it doesn't kick off too fast. If you leave it in the bucket,
Yeah, it can heat up.
start smoking in about 15, 20 minutes.
Is that just because of the volume of it?
The volume of it, yeah. Chemical reaction being in a mass like that. But once you spread it out like this, it calms down. Like this here. When was this, Richard, this morning? It's getting sticky.
Yeah.
That was, what, 3 or 4 hours ago, so.
You have to take the plug after it's in the other epoxy, and you have to make sure the grains go in the same direction. So for swelling purposes. So that if it swells up in the same direction as the plank would.
So tell me about your background in boat building and
I'm a painting contractor.
painting. Okay, well, it's building something. Well, painting.
I'm a painting contractor.
But you always love boats?
I'll get to the. Oh yeah, I've always had boats. Always had boats. But I'm a power boater. Sorry, not a sailor.
Well, this might change your mind. You'll have to come out and sail with us. Maybe not.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I was in the Navy for 4 years, so yeah, I did a lot of sailing.
Yeah, no joke.
I'm gonna add a little of this
It's microfibers.
fiber, just a pinch. We're gonna turn it
Between
in.
cheek and gum.
Right, we gotta turn it. Not as good as a cigar, but it's, you know.
Yeah.
This will put your cheek and gum together and never let you. You'll be sorry. Yeah, maybe a little more.
That look like a little more fibers, maybe? Yeah, a little more.
It's kind of a feel thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you
got-
want it. You don't want it dry, because then you're defeating the purpose. But you want it
look like cream of
cream
wheat.
of wheat. Yeah, there you go.
Cream of wheat. Okay.
Cream of wheat.
Here's how you pop them out.
You found it.
You gotta go with the grain, a quick snap. Sometimes they pop right out.
Sometimes you don't.
So you see there's a nice plug. It's got the little chamfer on it. What you saw there, we got about 3,000 plugs on it. Little pile of scrap. It's a hard piece of wood. Harder than the other ones. They're sitting in the epoxy and fibers mix. And so you can see how we kind of move them around like this. That brings the epoxy up onto the plug.
Okay, yeah.
So that, in addition to the epoxy that's in each of the holes, will we know we're getting a good glue
Okay.
to it.
So you got about, what, 100 of them right there? 30, 40?
Yeah, not that many. Now you have all the grains going the same direction here,
Okay.
so when I pick them up,
You don't have to turn it.
I don't have, well, you always have to turn it.
But at least you have a start.
Right.
least
Now you use this little hammer. It's a small. It looks just like a hammer, only smaller.
Okay. But not a mallet, not a wooden mallet.
No, it's not a sledge.
Very tedious. Sometimes they stick and sometimes they give me a bad time.
I mean, they're pretty tight.
And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. You go about, put in 5 or 6 and then you pound them.
Okay, yeah, not too many.
Well, I don't want to lose track.
Okay.
I go too far, you know. I come back and hit them again usually.
How long will this stuff stay viable before it starts getting too hard?
Oh, you got an hour or so.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You got time.
So it's not super glue.
No, it stays wet for a while. Until you hear it bottom out. This breaks those guys loose to work on your woodwork up in the cabin, you know?
No, it's nice having, you know, more stuff happening.
Yeah, you get a lot more done. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is going to be, you know, weeks of work that
they don't.
It's already done.
So yeah, they don't have to.
That's right.
They can build your superstructure, and I can go ahead and.
There's a lot.
I can do all the stuff that they don't. And I'll get to start the painting on this bugger. Priming, scraping.
Looking from the outside of the
Yeah.
boat. You see we put these across?
Okay.
That's so that this angle that's cut in the bottom of these panels, they line up across the boat like this so they're level.
So it's a flat angle.
Right, so when we make the bottom, it'll sit in there.
But does that frame bit come off and that's where the bottom goes?
Oh yeah, those are just temporary. We're gonna have to put on the bulkhead here, we'll put a strong cleat that's at this angle.
Okay.
That'll support the back end of the ramp.
Right.
One here, and one there. The reason is there's a lot of weight in that chain.
Sure.
But it's not just the weight. When you're going like this into the waves,
Yeah, sorry.
the chain becomes very heavy. So that's the reason for this material in the beginning, and for the sides to be resting on these two longitudinals.
Yeah.
And the bottom, of course, will be on some heavy cleats.
That's the new bulkhead.
The old one was 3/4 inch. It had a bunch of.
No, but was there one there?
Yeah. Basically went right back to the same spot because it was a good spot. It left us enough room for the anchor chain, plus some decent storage back here, and a realistic bunk that you could lay down in without the filler in there.
Right.
You know, you might want to take a nap for an hour. You just go
Okay.
there and flop in there. So this is the pattern.
Oh, Clint just made.
Yeah, this is for the bottom.
Okay.
This is the short one. What you got there?
I got 10.5 on that bulkhead angle.
Going this way.
Going this.
Okay. So 10.5, what was the other one? Almost 40.
45.5, so.
We'll just make it 45 because it's going to sit down and that's it. Might have a couple screws. Other than that, it can't go anywhere. So this is the top of it, so it needs to go this way, right?
Yes.
Like that.
Correct.
We're going to finish up the anchor road
Right.
chute, we'll
Chute,
call it.
yeah,
Storage.
okay.
Then the lids.
The lid's gonna be finished.
And then when we get, by then the fridge will be here. We can start doing the galley. Also,
Oh,
during
just finish
that
the
time-
shelves in the stateroom.
Shelves in the stateroom. And also during that time, we could finish up the starboard side of the hull down here. So the hull is pretty much done below the water line,
Right.
the bilge anyway.
I mean, go up another few courses?
No, when we go back to the planking, we start up here.
We're going to start top down,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's not going to be for a while.
Oh, it'll be not that long ago,
Okay.
or long from now. Well, what we're going to do is get a handle on all this. While the scaffolding is still at the height that it's at, we'll start making all these deck panels.
Patterns.
Patterns and the panels. We got the ply for it. The 6mm ply. So when we take all them, they'll all be numbered and pre-drilled. Then we can take them down and seal them with Smiths and start painting the undersides.
Okay.
At that point, then we can drop the scaffolding down and start planking.
Right, because this interior you don't need scaffolding from here, right?
No.
Like when you finally do the interior here.
No, other than getting up on the boat. But,
Yeah. Well, here we don't actually even want to do too much more. Just try to put it back together here.
yeah, the interior, it's all about right now ceiling planks and gluing some of these pieces back together. They're just old.